Welcome back to Facts Repo, your home for the most intriguing stories from history. Today, we're journeying back in time to unravel a mystery that has haunted scholars for centuries. What really happened to the great Library of Alexandria? Humanity mourns the loss of this legendary institution, believing that centuries of knowledge vanished in a single, catastrophic fire. But is that the full story? Did one event truly erase the ancient world's greatest collection of wisdom, or is the truth far more complex? Join us as we investigate the myths, sift through the evidence, and uncover what likely happened to the Library of Alexandria. The Library of Alexandria wasn't just a building filled with scrolls, it was the intellectual heart of the ancient world. Founded in the 3rd century BCE by Ptolemy Isoter, a successor to Alexander the Great, it was part of a larger research institution called the Museum, the Institution of the Muses. This wasn't a library in the modern sense where you could simply check out a scroll. It was a university, a think tank, and a sanctuary for the brightest minds of the era. Scholars from across the known world, Greece, Persia, Babylon, India, flocked to Alexandria to study, debate, and write. They were given generous stipends, free board, and exemption from taxes, all so they could focus entirely on their pursuit of knowledge. The library's goal was ambitious, almost fanatical, to collect a copy of every book ever written. Ships docking in Alexandria's harbor were required to surrender any scrolls they carried. These scrolls were then meticulously copied by scribes. The original was kept for the library's collection, and the fresh copy was returned to the original owner. At its peak, it's estimated that the Library of Alexandria held hundreds of thousands of papyrus scrolls, covering every subject imaginable: astronomy, mathematics, medicine, philosophy, poetry, and history. It was the first truly universal library. So, who is the primary suspect in its destruction? The most famous culprit is Julius Caesar. In 48 BCE, Caesar found himself besieged in Alexandria during a civil war. To gain a strategic advantage, his forces set fire to the enemy ships in the harbor. According to some ancient accounts, the flames spread from the docks and accidentally consumed parts of the city, including warehouses where scrolls were stored. However, many historians now believe this event, while damaging, was not the cataclysmic end of the library itself. Contemporary scholars who were there, like the geographer Strabo, visited Alexandria decades later and wrote about the museum as if it were still a functioning center of learning. He mentions that the institution had suffered, but he never describes a complete and total destruction of the main library. It seems the fire likely destroyed a significant number of scrolls stored near the harbor, but not the great library itself. The story of Caesar's accidental inferno grew over time, becoming a dramatic and convenient explanation for a much slower, more complicated process of decline. If Caesar wasn't the sole destroyer, who else has been blamed? Fast forward several centuries, and we encounter another popular theory involving religious zealots. In 391 CE, the Roman Emperor Theodosius I issued a decree outlawing pagan practices throughout the empire. In Alexandria, this led to a violent clash between Christians and followers of the traditional Greco-Roman faiths. Under the direction of the Patriarch Theophilus, a Christian mob destroyed the Serapeum, a magnificent temple dedicated to the god Serapis. The Serapeum housed a smaller, daughter library that contained tens of thousands of scrolls. This event was undoubtedly a devastating blow to the city's intellectual heritage. The destruction of the Serapeum's library represented a significant loss of knowledge and a clear sign of the changing times. But was this the end of the Great Library? Probably not. By this point, the main library, the original museum, had likely been in decline for centuries and may not have even existed in its former grand state. The final, and perhaps most tragic, suspect in our investigation is not a single person or a dramatic event, but something far more insidious, simple, gradual neglect. The decline of the Library of Alexandria began long before the fires and riots. It started with a loss of funding and political support. Later Ptolemaic rulers were less interested in patronizing scholarship than their predecessors. In 145 BCE, Ptolemy VIII expelled all foreign scholars from Alexandria, crippling the intellectual community that was the library's lifeblood. Economic instability, civil unrest, and a shift in political power from Alexandria to Rome all contributed to the library's slow decay. Funding dried up, the acquisition of new scrolls ceased, and the existing collection was left to deteriorate. Papyrus scrolls are fragile. Without constant care, copying, and preservation, they are susceptible to moisture, pests, and the simple ravages of time. The Great Library likely died not with a bang, but with a whimper, fading away over centuries of neglect. So, what exactly did we lose? This is the question that fuels our fascination and our sorrow. While we can't know for certain, we can make some educated guesses based on references in surviving texts. We lost vast amounts of literature. We have only a fraction of the works of the great Greek tragedians like Sophocles and Euripides. We know they wrote hundreds of plays, but most are lost, perhaps forever. We lost irreplaceable historical records. Berossus, a Babylonian priest, wrote a complete history of Mesopotamia that was housed in the library. Imagine having a detailed, first-hand account of Babylonian civilization, now gone. We lost incredible scientific and technological knowledge. The works of Hero of Alexandria, who invented an early steam engine and various automated devices, were likely far more extensive than the fragments that survived. Perhaps most tantalizingly, we lost the works of Aristarchus of Samos, an astronomer who, 1,800 years before Copernicus, proposed that the Earth revolved around the Sun. Had his full arguments survived and been studied, our understanding of the cosmos might have progressed centuries earlier. How different would our world be today if the library had survived? It's a question that sparks the imagination. Would we have advanced technologically much faster? Would we have a more complete and nuanced understanding of our own history? The Renaissance in Europe was sparked by the rediscovery of just a handful of ancient texts. Imagine the explosion of progress if the entire collection of the Library of Alexandria had been available to scholars. Perhaps the scientific revolution would have happened 1,000 years sooner. Perhaps we would have avoided some of the dark ages of intellectual stagnation. The story of the Library of Alexandria is a powerful reminder that knowledge is fragile. It's not a single fire we should fear, but the slow decay of curiosity, the defunding of education, and the neglect of our shared intellectual heritage. The library wasn't destroyed in one day. It was a gradual process, a death by 1,000 cuts, spanning centuries. Thank you for joining us on this investigation into one of history's greatest mysteries. What do you think would be the most significant discovery if we could recover the library's lost scrolls? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into the past, be sure to subscribe to Facts Repo for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world.